Hey, hey, hey. Hello and what's today? Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, y'all. How have y'all been doing? I wanted to come on briefly and talk about workplace burnout. It is a whole real thing. And life is lifing, and workplace stress is stressing. It is a real thing. It is happening. And a lot of my people that I work with, these are some of the things that they are experiencing. So I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk about three things that you can do to reduce or even prevent. Really, we want to prevent, right? Three things that you can do, three effective things that you can do to prevent workplace burnout. Okay. So I'm Rachel, owner of RDH Counseling and Consulting. I am your licensed clinical social worker. And at RDH Counseling and Consulting, we are dedicated to helping you become your healthiest self. So when we're talking about you being your healthiest self, especially when it is come from the place of an employee, right? How can you be healthy in the workplace setting? So y'all hear me talk about self-care. I'm the self-care queen. You hear me talk about it all of the time. We have our course and things of that nature. And when it comes to self-care, it's something that's important. And a lot of times, especially in the workplace, is overlooked. I've worked with people who say, I don't even, what are you talking about doing self-care? How can you do self-care in the workplace? What are we talking about? And so I want to break down for you three effective things that you can do in the workplace to help you prevent burnout. Okay. So I want to start by telling you and kind of defining for you. This hair is getting on my nerves, y'all. Hold on. Let me get my life together. So, when we're talking about self care, let's start there. Self care really is um, a way of looking at you. It's taking care of your needs in all of the areas, right? So it's assessing the health in the different areas, your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, your financial health, right? So when we're talking about self care, we're talking about looking at assessing and giving you what you need in those areas, okay? So when it comes to burnout and using self-care to prevent burnout in the working environment, it's what can you do at work so that you can have what you need so that you're not burned out. Now, burnout, what is that? What does that look like? I want to talk about that briefly before we go into the three types or different ways that you can engage in self-care. So burnout really basically at the core is you are stressed out, you are overwhelmed, you are fatigued, you are drained. There is a lot going on at work, and it's more than what you are currently able to handle. And because of that, you have gotten to a place where you are drained, you are unable, you're at your end, right? You don't have the bandwidth, whether it's emotional or mental bandwidth or capacity to manage or handle what is being asked of you to handle. Does that make sense how I'm saying it? So burned out, you have gotten to a place where you're like, enough is enough. And a lot of times we hear people, talk about quietly quitting. And sometimes that quietly quitting is as a result of being burned out. Right. So people get burned out for a lot of different reasons. Most of the time, it's because the environment is unhealthy, right? Whether it's you have a toxic coworkers or you have toxic supervisors or you are being overworked, right? There's not enough of you all and you're being asked to do a lot. And so you feel unsupported. You don't have the necessary supports in place. And so that can cause burnout. So there are three things that I always, I won't say always, but are really effective when it comes to preventing or reducing burnout, right? That your risk of experiencing burnout. One, and I know this is probably going to sound really elementary and sound really um, obvious. Take breaks, right? So the biggest break that most people have is what? Your lunch break. Now I want to ask you, and I want you to be honest. Be honest with you. Do you take your lunch? And I don't mean sitting at your desk working and eating. I'm talking about a break where you get up from your computer, you get up from your desk, and you go somewhere else and you eat, or take that hour, that 30 minutes, however long um, lunch is these days. But do you take your lunch? Do you take the breaks that are afforded to you? Or do you find yourself working through your lunch? And that might be you are sitting down and coworkers, supervisors are still coming in, talking to you, asking questions. Like you're still working. You might have something in your mouth, but you're still working. Is that you? Is that you? Raise your hand. Now, I'm not raising my hand, but I'm asking you to raise your hand, right? Is that you? And if it is, I want you to start there. Start by taking your lunch break. Take that break. What ideally is if you have a lunch, I don't know, some spaces have a lunchroom, but if not, go out to your car, go out to your vehicle, or maybe sit outside, but get out of that space that you're in. You need a new scenery. So go out, sit down. If you have lunch, like you actually have food, eat it. Some people are so busy, so stressed, and so, just so used to working through their lunch that by the time they look up at 6 o'clock and they haven't eaten all day. And yet, you are wanting your body and your brain to function at full capacity. That's not a realistic expectation, right? And so then when you see that you're falling behind or you're not able to fully grasp things or you're not able to provide the answers, the solutions, or, work on your feet, you're frustrated. You're beating yourself up. You're saying, I don't know what I'm doing. When the truth is, you haven't eaten. You haven't provided you with the nutrients that you need, right? So eat your lunch. So leave out of the building if possible, but take your lunch break. Okay, that's number one. Take a break. Stop. One of the other things that I talk to my clients about, and this is why the lunch break part is really important, like taking that break and getting outside in a different environment, is your subconscious is taking in your environment. Everything in your environment is sending a message to you, whether it's telling you that you are safe, the environment is safe, whether it's telling you that this is a peaceful environment or it's cluttered and chaotic. And if it's cluttered and chaotic, your body thinks it needs to respond and behave in a different way than if you were in an environment that was calming and soothing. That makes sense? So your environment is sending messages and your mind is taking it in. So getting outside and away from an environment where it's toxic or it's just stressful, or it's just an environment that you need to leave out of because I need a break. Doing so is going to be very beneficial for you. So that's number one. Get up, go outside, go to your car, go to the lunch space, but take your break and take the full break. And don't talk about work while you taking your break. That's like a part B to it, right? When you're taking your break, take your break. A lot of times it's easy to take a break, but then you're talking to coworkers, right? And everybody's kind of griping, or I wouldn't say griping, but you're talking about your day, your experience. And sometimes that can be helpful, right? But I want you to think about, what am I taking in? So I want you to think about that, right? As you are looking for ways to reduce burnout and get rid of stress, I want you to be mindful of what you are inviting in. So if people are dumping on you their stress and their anxiety and their worry and what they have going on, is that helping you reduce stress and anxiety and burnout, or is that hindering you? Something to think about. So sometimes you may need to set that boundary too. When people want to come in and start complaining, you may need to say, hey, I'm eating my lunch and I am decompressing right now. So I don't want to hear, not in a bad way, but right now I don't have the ability to manage what it is you're wanting to share. Wish I did, however, comma, I can't I can't do it with you right now. Okay? So I want you to think about that. The second thing that is really, really helpful is breathing. Now I know we say, listen, I'm breathing right now, right? But there is a different way of breathing that can be very beneficial to letting you know, and by you, I mean your body, your mind, your spirit, that lets you know that you're okay. Breathing does a couple of things. It sends messages, right? And so think about when you are getting ready to fight. Now, I don't fight anymore because I've been delivered, right? But some people back in the day, when you're getting ready to, knuck and buck, right? You're breathing hard. And that message is saying what? That message is telling your body it's time to get ready to do something. Your breathing also sends a message. And we can use our breathing to send the message into us that we're safe, we're okay. And so the way we do that is through controlling our breathing and slowing it down. So one of the things that I teach my clients is how to do, we call it diaphragmatic breathing, right? And so it's more of using your diaphragm to breathe, right? And using it in a controlled, slowed down way. So brief demonstration, you're going to breathe in through your nose, right? Not a big, deep, heavy. I don't tell people to do deep and, now that's going to get you lightheaded, right? So I don't want you to do that, but a nice, soft, gentle inhale, right? So I'm going to breathe in. Now breathe right there, nice and soft, a soft breath in. Um, and my shoulders didn't go up, my chest didn't do all of this, right? So a nice, soft breath in, so nice, soft inhale. Hold it for just a second, and then we're going to slowly blow it out of our mouth, nice and slow. All right, so think about smelling the flowers and then blowing out the candle. So pursing your lips, blowing out of your mouth. As you are exhaling, that's the time you want to see if you can focus on just allowing your body to relax, allowing your muscles to soften, to relax. And so, with that breathing, it's very effective at allowing you to calm, to become more relaxed. And that really helps you to de stress, decompress. So, again, you're going to breathe in nice and soft, slowly breathe out. Good. And a lot of times, what I have my clients do is to close their eyes. So, breathing is the second effective way that you can use while at work to help you kind of decompress and de stress. Now, You can do the breathing anywhere. If you're going to close your eyes, then of course you want to be somewhere safe, right? But you can still breathe even with your eyes open. A lot of times when I'm driving, especially if there's a lot of traffic or something like that, um, I will do breathing, especially when I notice that I'm starting to tense up. So this is one of the other things that I teach my clients is to recognize when they're holding tension and where on their body they're holding tension. So for me, it's my shoulders. My shoulders, they tend to go up, and my all up in here. You know, you see that line right there. Y'all see that line? That's how I know I start feeling that tightness up there. That's how I know, oh, I need to do some breathing. So you can use breathing anytime, anywhere. And so at work, especially when you notice you're starting to get tense, your shoulders are hurting, people are getting on your last nerve, and you're trying really, really hard to calm down and not let them have it. Breathing is a wonderful activity that you can do, and it is very effective. It's an effective form of self care that you can use at work. So, that breathing is the second thing. The third thing, now I didn't prioritize these, I didn't rank these, but this last one that I'm going to share with you all, man, if you can get this right, this is going to be a game changer. It's going to be a game changer if you can get this right. So, a lot of times I hear my clients say, I'm burned out, I'm frustrated, um, these people are getting on my nerves, that I hear all of that. And what I let them know is that feeling overwhelmed, anxious, stressed, angry, frustrated, all of those are feelings. Your feelings aren't magical. They don't just pop up. They don't just appear. Y'all know where they come from? Put it in the comment if you know where your feelings come from. Because they're not magical. They don't just come out of nowhere. They come from your thoughts. So what you are thinking plays a huge role in how you feel. So if at work you notice that you are agitated, you're frustrated, these so and so's getting on your last nerve, right? If you notice that you are frustrated, agitated, anxious, worried, or mad at work, those are feelings. And I want you to start thinking about your thinking. In some instances, you're going to need to challenge and replace them. The biggest, one of the most common types or patterns of thoughts, we call them cognitive distortions, but one of the biggest, one of the most commonly occurring distortions is shoulds. I'm just going to put that right there, and I want you to think about that. Shoulds, right? What does that even mean? Shoulds. Have you heard yourself saying to you or to other people, they should know better? They should not be doing that. I wouldn't do that. They oughtn't to do that. They oughtn't to do that. Is that even a real thing, y'all? That's a Mississippi thing. Oughtn't. I just made that up, right? But this is how it should be. They should know better. They should do it this way. If you find yourself doing any of that shoulding, you are in jeopardy. You are more likely to feel frustrated, anxious, pissed to the highest level of festivity, right? Because of that type of thinking. So the third thing that you can do when it comes to effective ways at reducing burnout is to think about your thinking. Now, this is the problem with shoulds, right? So we've already identified that shoulds are cognitive distortion. So if you find yourself saying they should, I should, we should, it shouldn't be, they should know better, they should do differently. A lot of times, these are expectations, right? These are unwritten rules that you have, and it becomes problematic for two reasons. A lot of times, our expectations are not being met and that them not being met causes the frustration. But the problem is the expectations are either one, not verbalized, or two, they're not realistic. They don't line up with reality. So when we're thinking about these shoulds, right, these expectations that we have for ourselves, even sometimes, or others, I want you to think of it and I want you to consider one, have I verbalized this expectation to whoever it is that I'm pissed at and I'm saying they should know better than this and they should do, right? Have I expressed that expectation to them? Or is this something that I think they should do or should know because I know it? Why don't they know it? They should be able to read my mind, right? Or that's the way I would do it. Problematic, right? Or the other thing you want to assess for is it realistic what I'm looking for or what I'm expecting? I'll give you a prime example. Many of the people that I work with that are frustrated at work, especially if they're frustrated with those in leadership positions. So their managers, their supervisors, the CEOs of the agencies or companies that they work with, there's a lot of frustration because you are expecting them to behave or to do something that they are not capable of doing. So you might be expecting them to behave the way you think a leader should behave. The whole time they are not leaders. They're in that position, but they're not a leader. Right? And so you have these expectations for them. They should know not to do that. They should know what's right. They should. Okay. All right. But the reality is, you cannot make them do what you think they should do. So you have a choice. You can expend your energy continuing to be frustrated at what they should do and should know how to do and should not do, right? Or you can revisit and reassess what you do have control over. And what you do have control over is how you are thinking about the situation. You also have control over how you feel and what you do. I just want to put a little pin right there, and I want to take a little detour just real quick. One of the when I mentioned that you have control over your feelings, one of the things that I hear sometimes, and I always challenge and correct, is this idea that someone else can make you feel some kind of a way, and they can't. All right, that's giving somebody a whole lot of power. Because where did we say your feelings come from? Your feelings come from your thinking. So unless they can get in your head and create your thoughts, they didn't make you feel anything. You get to take ownership and accountability for your feelings and ultimately for what you do and don't do. So when you're thinking about how to manage the frustration, the anger, the irritability, and the burnout, really, a big part of that is choosing to change the way you are thinking about what's happening. So looking at, how am I thinking about this? Are these expectations that I have for this person realistic? And have I expressed them? And if it's not realistic, you have the opportunity to change you in this way, meaning you have the opportunity to alter your expectations. So if I recognize that you are not a capable leader, then I'm going to possibly stop expecting you to behave that way. I'll give you a prime example. I love using this example. If you have a young child, let's say your child is, I don't know, 3 to 5 years old, right? They can understand you, right? They know what you're saying pretty much. They can follow basic and simple directions. But would you ask a 3 or 5-year-old to cook you a full gourmet 5 course meal? Would you ask a 5-year-old to do that? Now, maybe some of y'all would. But if what they gave you was maybe, a bag of chips or some bread that they put some ketchup on, would you be upset at them? Would you be frustrated? Would you be angry? Would you be upset at them? More than likely, you would not, right? But why wouldn't you be upset? Well, you're not going to be upset because they're 5 years old and it's not realistic for you to expect a 5-year-old to do that. They lack the capacity, the capability, the training, the know how, and the experience to make you a full course meal. Yet, we are looking at other people and expecting them to give us things that they don't have in their bandwagon, bandwidth, in their wheelhouse. They can't give it to you. Oh, you want me to be emotionally mature. You're a supervisor, you should be. But who say, right? If they're showing you that they lack that capacity, why do you keep getting upset because they show you what they are? So, a part of what you can do in these situations is to start challenging your thinking. Insanity, the definition, is to keep doing the same thing but expecting to get a different result. Same here. So, at work, I want you to think about that. Am I going about this all wrong? Meaning, are you looking at things or thinking about things in a way that's causing you to have these unwanted emotions and feelings? If so, I want to challenge you to challenge your thinking. Is there a different way you could look at it? Can you reshift the way you've been thinking, what you've been saying to yourself? And if so, practice that. Practice that. So those are three things that you can do, 3 types of self-care that you can do that's going to be really effective at helping you when you go to work, especially for those of y'all who are in environments that are stressful, right? If you're in an environment that you consider to be toxic, or maybe you have coworkers that are just getting on your last nerve. I hear it all the time. It's a real thing. And so I want you all to know that there are things that you can do. And you can start tomorrow. When you get up in the morning, say to yourself, okay, I'm going to try what Rachel said. I'm going to take my lunch break today. I'm going to do some breathing. Or maybe I am going to think about my thinking, right? Maybe you've been looking at your coworkers and expecting them to do what they are not able to do. So maybe you can revisit your expectations and then adjust the way you're engaging with them. Like, I'm not going to waste energy on someone that, like, why am I wasting my energy here? I already know where you are. I know what you can and cannot do. Maybe there's a different way, different approach that I need to take. So I want you to think about that, right? There are things that you can do. You do not have to stay in this state that you're in. Okay? I think there's a song that says that too. You don't have to stay in the state that you're in. That's a whole song. But that's another thing you could do. Listen to some music. That's a freebie for y'all. So when you take your lunch break, turn your music on. Do some breathing. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful. I want to hear from y'all. What ones of these things are you going to practice? What you going to try? And I want to hear how it works. But you deserve to take care of you. And it's actually your responsibility. It's nobody else's responsibility to take care of you and your mental and emotional health needs. So um, you deserve it. Take care of you. Look for ways to engage in self care. And if your employer needs help training and teaching the rest of y'all how to engage in self care, reach out. We are here for that. But most importantly, take care of you. You only get one you. You're responsible for you, and you deserve to be your healthiest self. All right. Till next time, y'all take care. Be safe. And I'll speak with you soon. It's Rachel Hunter, your licensed clinical social worker with RDH Counseling and Consulting. It's been real.